And we're live.
Clearly an incredibly a magnetic figure, right? He stirred that country up from ruin and nearly conquered the whole world. Imagine if all of that charisma and energy had been directed in a positive area, right?
No, what you'd want to do is send back like Norm Macdonald instead, because then he'd be like, well, you know, Hitler, you could just apply to another school. And then it'd be like, yes, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll just apply to another rector. You're right, Norm. It's like, yeah, I know I'm right. It goes pretty poorly if you don't, if I'm being frank.
That's like the old Norm Macdonald joke. He goes, you ever hear about those people that just all of a sudden snap and chop up their whole family and kill them, put them in a duffel bag there? And they say it's because the devil told them to do it. How often of that time do you think the person kills their whole family, chop them up, put them in a duffel bag, go back to the devil like, here you go, old thorny leader of the underworld. Here's my family in a duffel bag here. And then the devil pulls off a mask. Hey, it's me, Steve. I'm fucking with you, buddy. He's like, oh, that's a great one there, Steve. I got my whole family in a bag here. It's a great one. It's a good one.
Dude, Norm is my favorite comedian right now. He's hilarious. Like he was in some hot water for like defending saying like Rosie and Louie like aren't that bad, which I agree. Like they shouldn't be like treated like they're fucking rapists or some shit. And he like in his apology, like everybody was like, he's got to apologize. And he was in his like interview. He was like,
say what he apologized. He said about $200.
So
right,
basically he said, I'm good friends with Louie and Roseanne, and I don't think they're getting way more than they deserve. Like basically, like his big sin was not like roundly condemning and like slashing them. Like he went too easy, they thought. He has to apologize for not going hard enough. Now, are you excusing this behavior, Norm? And so then so
what Norm Macdonald said, I just want to lay it out. He said that refund their tickets, give them $200, they'll be fine. Like that, and people were like, oh my God, $200 for all the emotional abuse I had, and go on.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Is he
also said that I love Norm Macdonald, but he also said that he's glad the Me Too movement is slowing down. He thinks that none of the victims of these things had their whole careers and lives taken away from them in one instance, like Louie and Roseanne did. And
that's fair.
And they're both good friends, and he encouraged them to talk to each other.
Yeah, I thought what he said was pretty reasonable, which is kind of like, hey, this whole Me Too thing has become a bit politicized, and it's kind of jeopardizing the actual desire of true victims to come forward because they go, oh, people are going to assume I'm trying to get ahead or something, and which is not what you want with sexual assault victims. You want them to feel comfortable coming forward. And Norm, he was giving his apology interview with someone, and they're like, so you said, that you didn't feel bad for these people who were harassed by Louis, or like the people who took offense at Roseanne's tweet, which, as if those are vaguely comparable. And he's like, oh, no, that's not true at all. I think you'd have to have Down syndrome not to feel bad for people who are sexually harassed. And so now he's in trouble for saying that you'd have to have Down syndrome to not have empathy for people who are sexually harassed.
Like a whole group of people.
I fucking love Norm. Like he goes in, does his whole, I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but I'm just going with what I do. And you got to have Down syndrome not to feel bad for those. It's like, God, Norm. If they cancel his Netflix show, I'm canceling my subscription. I swear to God. I fucking love that dude.
It's like a whole group of like snowflakes just discovered Norm Macdonald because he's he hasn't changed a bit since like the fucking 80s. He like when he was ripping OJ,
changed about 75 pounds.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. Yeah, now he's a hoodie man.
Is now legal in California. And
you gotta hand it to him for his willingness to always still riff. But that particular joke is also just like not accurate, just because people with Down syndrome are known for their empathy. They like feel bad about everything.
But they don't
give me a
get
hug.
It. Yeah. If you said I was sexually assaulted, they'd be like, no, I bet.
Yeah, they feel bad if you broke your blue crayon. All right, they're not big thinkers, from what I understand. Let's be real.
That blue crayon's very important to them.
We've had all those wonderful leaders.
Especially if it's indigo, you only get one.
Mm-hmm.
These are facts. I like Ben's point of view on this. You got to really consider the Down syndrome empathy point.
Have you ever seen the clip when Norm Macdonald is on The View or something like that with like Barbara Walters? And he claims, he makes the statement that Bill Clinton is a murderer, and they all flip their shit and start going after him. It's
that's such a Norm thing. I love it. I've never.
oh
can't
my
believe I haven't
god,
seen this.
it's absurd. He's like, yeah, I thought that was pretty well documented. The murderer, and they're just like, they do not care for it. You will, if you don't hate Barbara Walters now, you will go from 0 to Hitler in 3 seconds flat. You will absolutely despise this woman by the time you see how she reacts to this. Like all of them, all of the chicks on that show.
I don't think I'd like that claim either, because he didn't like. Is it the Vince Foster thing that discredited conspiracy theory?
I have, first of all, the clips from like the 90s or something, maybe early 2000s, like it's bad video quality anyway. And he's being, I feel like he's being silly, right? Like he's not like, it's important that everyone knows that this Clinton. He's like, yeah, he's a murderer, whatever. like kind of slips that in there, and they flip their shit. They lose.
He is such a troll, and in an age where comedy is so neutered and pussified right now, like I like a guy like Norm, who is willing to poke and prod and piss people off, and it's like that's what comedy used to be, like speaking, as Ben said, truth to power, and sometimes speaking non-truth to power to get them to rile up and reveal themselves for who they really are, the kind of people who are vindictive and will do anything to crush you if you say something they don't like. Like Norm is hilarious. I'm so glad he has his own show now, or hopefully he doesn't lose it.
You're selling me on it. Like I like the concepts that you're putting out there, but then when I actually watch Norm take 6.5 minutes to say something, he loses me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it took you so long to get there.
That's fair enough, because like his style of comedy isn't for everyone. Like when I watch him tell a 4-minute joke on Jimmy Fallon or Conan, and it's clear that Jimmy Fallon and Conan are so uncomfortable because they know, like, all right, we got to keep this moving. And Norm, he doesn't care. He's gonna keep going right in my own. What was it talking about? Oh yeah. Like he'll intentionally like lose his track and make them like, no, you're talking about the butterfly that you were doing. Oh yeah, I forgot what I was. Okay, anyway, the butterfly is in the office. Like he's like, it's just such a troll. I love Norm.
I just realized I found the clip, and Julie Chen was on The View at the time. I think that's Les Moonves' wife. Have you been following the whole?
It on purpose? Is that
yeah. Yeah. I skipped a bunch of silliness. Have you been following the Les Moonves thing? The guy who's running fucking CBS, I guess, or ABC. I want to say it's ABC. Guy makes, they said how much money he was making per year. It's right at $500 million. It's right at $500 million a year. They fired him because of all the sexual allegations that have come out. These women, he's been forcing women to blow him and stuff. And meanwhile, his wife is on The Talk now, which is one of these like middle-aged lady girl power shows where they went ham on like Louis C.K. and like all these guys. Their first episode came out the other day. She couldn't attend. She took a little time, personal time.
Is there more details to know about that less
clip?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sure, I'd love to watch the clip.
I'm queued up at 1:33. 3,
yep,
2, 1, play.
You like George Bush, don't you?
I love George Bush, man. He's a good man, decent. None of this. He's not a liar, a crook, murderer, or anything like that. So it'd be good to get the. See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Oh.
Murderers. Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, we're not allowed. You're not allowed accusations without. That's a little too far. That's the way it does work. Let's just go on to the next question. Yeah. This is not my week. What can I tell you? Oh, it's not mine either, and I'm being very nice. Okay. Be a good boy. Now, Norm.
Do you never hear that?
No. Listen, we don't need to talk about this. And I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations, and you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question. So get with it. There you go. This is a live show.
So uncomfortable.
But you have been properly chastised by Barbara, so I'm now going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up.
He's trolling him. That's funny.
Do this, okay? I'll tell you what's a matter of record. You will not be invited back if you don't shut up. All right, now. Let's talk football.
Double down.
All right, manslaughter.
Let's talk
He doubled down.
Did you ever hear the word? The phone is ringing. I certainly hope that's somebody calling to tell you to go home.
Oh, no.
Dude, you got a phone ringing.
Oh.
He's just dragging it out.
Answer the phone.
Hello? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The thing is this. There, you know Matt Strauss?
Yeah, the producer.
The producer. He told me it would be funny. He said, like, why don't you carry a cell phone on and then let it ring and then pretend like there's a guy on it?
Is there anybody on it?
No, it's a thing. Pretend
You know what, Norm? You're a dead man.
Is it the end here?
Here, you talk to him then.
You know what, Barbara? You know what you said about rage and work? Give this man to put a suit and tell him to shut up.
Is there more to this?
Oh, they just berate him for the next what?
All right, we can
minutes.
we can stop that one.
Yeah, they're just annoying and like rude for the next 3 minutes.
All right,
Something like that.
manslaughter. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
so good.
Well, I could see that he was funny, but he triggered me a little too. When he
See,
kept-
that's what's so funny about it.
yeah. I have to admit it. You know, I thought it was a bad record. They're like, stop it. And they're trying not to fight him, right? They're trying to be like you just like telling bullshit lies that conspiracy theorists fall for, and you know, he just kept like bringing it up again in his typical slow pace, taking forever to do his thing, and it's Norm Macdonald.
I don't think he was ever on The View again.
I wouldn't doubt it. I would. You know, if he was on The View again, he would do the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, he'd bring it up. Yeah, he told
That's
me.
why like he got booted off of the SNL like newsroom or like weekly update or whatever he was doing because they kept telling him like stop saying like really awful things
No,
like
it's
in the middle
OJ.
of your update. Yeah,
It
it
was
was
OJ.
OJ that was one of the main things, but he did quite a bit of other stuff like in the midst of that. But I think what did you say that the producer of SNL was like
The,
friends with OJ or
One
some
of
shit?
the NBC executives was very good friends with OJ Simpson, golfed with him and shit. You know, when asked publicly, he maintained, of course, OJ's innocent, et cetera, et cetera. And he went in and put the squeeze on the what's his? I always skip fucking the guy who runs SNL that always has Lorne Michaels,
Lorne
yeah.
Michaels, yeah.
And had him fired. And then of course Norm comes back like a year, maybe 2 years later, and he's hosting the show. And yeah, he just kind of roasts him in his opening monologue. Norm's a good guy.
What did he say in like his opening monologue where he's like, you know, they fired me because I wasn't funny enough. And now I'm hosting. That must mean the rest of you guys suck.
Yeah, he's either I got a lot funnier or this show
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
Fucking great. Yeah,
Yeah,
he shit.
He's one of the few comedians left who genuinely doesn't give a fuck. Because there are so many who like pretend to not give a fuck, but like Norm truly doesn't. And that's what I like so much about the dude.
I like that. I feel like he's financially secure, and that's part of why he can not give a fuck. You know, to me, Joe Rogan is kind of that way too. You know, he works at his own pleasure. Joe Rogan. He likes to do the podcast, so he does the podcast. The UFC stuff, he's like, you know what? Only give me the best fights. I'm not really interested in traveling for all your shit. Get someone else to do the fights that aren't cool.
Joe's also like mushrooms in that he absorbs whatever flavor is around him. And
On his
so like
podcast.
yeah, on his podcast. So like a guest who's like more left leaning, like Jimmy Dore, who's a very funny guy. He'll be more similar to Jimmy Dore. Then he'll have some right leaning comedian on and be more similar to him, which, you know, you could make the argument that's just being a good conversationalist, which I prefer that he does that because you don't want like a contentious conversation bogged down in minutia 24/7. But also like it would be fun if he challenged his guests more. And I'm not a big Joe Rogan listener, so maybe somebody can link me to a bunch of times when he did, but it doesn't seem like he does. Was that kind of the impression you were getting, Woody? It looked like you were thinking like he doesn't.
I was
he doesn't challenge
processing
his
it. Like
guests
at
very
first,
often.
I was like, yeah, I completely agree. Now I would say he only challenges the ones that are full on wackadoo, right? The ones who are saying stuff that's just like you've lost a touch with reality. You're saying shit that we can't buy at all. Then he'll probe them a little bit and ask, you know, how can that be? But yeah, and he does kind of. He's left when the left people are on. He's definitely right. You know, I think he's right. But I mean, to say he's right on the political spectrum, but he will go left of center if the guest does.
Oh yeah,
too.
I think he personally is left of center with his right point being like free speech stuff, like
gun
because
stuff.
he's like gun stuff, free speech stuff, but like other than that, he's pretty left.
Pretty left with the marijuana.
Abortion, marijuana, gays, trans people or whatever. Like, I actually don't know what he thinks about trans people, but like for the most part, he seems like
it's hard to tell. I
not
want to
like
say
not
he was
super far in one direction or the other. But
he was ferociously pro-Trump, and then I'm like, but who was the guest, right? He might have just been absorbing that guy's flavor when I formed that opinion.
I have a
he
great.
may have been. I don't remember him being ferocious. I remember him doing like the whole. I remember him being very anti-Clinton from a political one I listened to him, where I was like, and that was like a trend through a lot of places during that election. It was like people bonded more on the hate of Hillary Clinton than they did on the love of Donald Trump.